Let us pray. God, you call us to humble service, to love our neighbors and our enemies, to do justice and offer mercy. But we do not respond as we should. We pretend we do not hear your call. We excuse ourselves from your work, citing self-doubt or fear, apathy, or the pull of other demands on our time. We often let other things outweigh our desire to do your will. Forgive us, God. Return us to you and your way. We are gladdened to know that our communal confessions are heard. We thank you for granting forgiveness and peace. Now, as you call us again through your word read and proclaimed through the people of this church, may our eyes be opened and our hearts willing to follow where your Spirit leads. Amen. Jim Dunning will read our scripture lesson this morning. Jim, you may unmute yourself.
The scripture this morning is from Luke 5, 1 to 11. Are you coming through?
Yes.
Once while Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he saw two boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowds from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we have worked all night long, but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were amazed at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on, you will be catching people." When they brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him.
Thank you, Jim. Jesus was already a known figure in Luke's version of the calling of the fishermen, soon to be disciples. The crowds were pressing in, so Jesus pressed Simon Peter and his boat into service. It gave him a platform from which to speak and less claustrophobic conditions. After the teaching, talking time, Jesus makes another request, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to the boat operator. Can you imagine? They'd already fished all night, caught nothing, pulled into port, and finished the tedious task of straightening out and cleaning the nets. Now they were being asked to go out again, when what they really want is a cup of coffee and 40 winks. But they comply with this masterful rabbi, who apparently knows something about fishing and the best fishing spots. So they throw out the nets on the other side of the boat, and sure enough, they are soon full to nearly breaking. Peter saw all those little fishies, and you know what he said? "Holy mackerel." With Jesus, it is always fishing season. And Jesus is always calling us to go fishing with him, to put out our nets that are tied together with the love of God in order to find and bring life and justice to the lost, the lonely, the vulnerable, the oppressed. When we are doing the work of God, when we are following in the way of Christ, we may have to change our usual ways at times, put out our nets on the other side. It's what we've been forced to learn with the pandemic. During times when it's unsafe for lots of people to gather in an enclosed space, we've figured out how to be a virtual church. In the process, our net was opened up in new ways to allow all sorts of bodies to participate in this community of faith. Those who are immunocompromised, people who are homebound, people who have conditions or work hours that prevent them from attending a live service, folks who live far away or who are traveling. Our net has grown. When media equipment fails us or there are unexpected surprises, we do the best we can and become aware of the gaps. When we move our net to a new spot, we start to look at everything in new ways, and we may even find new ways to respond to Jesus' call. Today, several of the disciples at First Presbyterian will be sharing how they are responding to the call to discipleship. As you listen, pay attention. God may be calling you to jump on board in a new role or a new form of fishing or a new form of ministry. What are you ready to let go of in order to respond to Jesus' call to you? Are we willing to try putting our nets out on the other side, to try a different way of catching metaphorical fish and discovering new ways of doing ministry? Imagine what we can do when we connect all our nets together. After you've heard the words of these faithful, committed, and creative leaders, there will be a time for you to ask questions about the annual reports, which were available for you to download from the email announcements. If you need a paper copy, please contact the office this week and we'll make sure you get one. So I am going to call on folks here and give them a chance to speak with you. So I have mission and outreach first. Sherry, Sue, Jan, whoever wants to pop up first.
I guess I'll start. I'm Sherry McCall from the Mission and Outreach Committee. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, and our committee members this year have been Shannon Berger, Jan Fraze, Sue Janke, Shauna Pani, and Pastor Kathy is ex officio. Our involvement included monetary collections for local nonprofits, national and international efforts of the PCUSA. We had some item collections, such as the holiday sock collection. We provided assistance with other committees with church events, such as the Blessing of the Animals, Jonah's Amazing Eau Claire Cleanup, and other Jonah events. We had representatives there. Our congregation volunteered at community nonprofits like the Beacon House, Community Table, and the Fierce Freedom Justice Run. And we managed a transition to a new Beacon House coordinator. And finally, we explored and developed a mental health wellness Zoom series. We are grateful to all of you in our congregation for your commitment and service to mission and outreach at the local and community levels. And next, Sue will share our church's involvement in offerings, and then Jan will introduce the mental health wellness series. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Whoever's next, there.
Sue
Sue,
Janke.
come on up.
Our church has the special distinction of supporting all four of the special offerings of the Presbyterian Church. They are 1 great hour of sharing, promoted and received during the season of Lent, the Pentecost offering, promoted and received on Pentecost Sunday, the Peace and Global Witness offering, promoted during a season of peace, September, and received on World Communion Sunday, the first Sunday in October, and the Christmas Joy offering, which is promoted and received during the season of Advent. These offerings help the whole church join together in response to God's grace. They represent the largest collective way Presbyterians come together to work for a better world. The offerings actively engage congregations in ministries of compassion, justice, hunger, Christian formation, education, peacemaking, global witness, and disaster relief. If we all give a little, it adds up to a lot. Thank you.
So, Jan?
I'm Jan Fraze and part of the Mission Committee. And we have planned this mental health wellness sessions. There are 4 sessions. They are free and they are virtual. And like Pastor Kathy mentioned, you can access the registration link and then they will send you links to attend each session. Those links are in the weekly email and they're also in the February bellwether. Also on Jonah's Facebook site or Jonah's website. When we began planning this in 2021, as a major project for us, mental health is really an issue of importance to us. So we're just inviting you to make time to care for yourself during this stressful time of disease and divisiveness in our country. So these are professionally guided opportunities to learn how to calm your mind and your body. And all of the resource materials have come from the Health and Human Services Department and also Healthy Communities. So there's one on February 8th on guided relaxation, March 8th, chair yoga, April 12th, breath work, and May 10th, guided meditation. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. And finance and property stewardship is our next group. Sharon?
Yeah. Yep, that would be me, Sharon Stedman. Our committee this year consisted of Lee Mossig and Janelle Lobby as elders, and also Bill Cayley was on our committee early in the year and then found it necessary to resign from session and our committee. Our at-large members are Keith Daniels, Bill Henry Walker, and Matt Hull. So I'll start with property. Property entails the building itself, the grounds, and everything within the building, all of the mechanical systems, electric, plumbing, heating, insurance is included in that. And the biggest project that we have facing us this year, what will be our goal, is to deal with our boiler system. The boilers themselves are still in good shape, folks. Train is the company that we work with. They do the service to our heating system, and they tell us that the boilers have about a 30-year life expectancy, and we're 16 years into that, so the boilers are okay. It's the operating system that circulates the heat that has been a problem. We use pneumatics, which is the use of a compressor, and that's been really problematic for us. So with the help of Jim Dunning and Mike Mills, they have reached out to 4 other heating companies in the area and are obtaining proposals and estimates for us. So our committee will be looking at that this spring and we'll make a recommendation to session. And our goal is to get something different installed. It will be a fairly expensive project. We're looking at a ballpark estimate of about $50,000. So we will probably be seeking a low interest loan from the Presbyterian for that. But just stay tuned. That's it, the big thing that we'll be dealing with. And there's some smaller projects that we anticipate doing this year. We've had an anonymous donor agree to purchase a different couch for the entrance area on the upper level, the office and education level. We're looking at continuing to replace the fluorescent lights with LEDs. We hope to get the whole church done by the end of the year. That's what we hope to do. We're looking at a security system for the church. We're hoping to install some security cameras in the church. We'll be discussing that. And so those are kind of the projects we're looking at for property. Then finance part deals with everything financial, money coming in, money going out, audit, the counters, the pledge campaign. And I have to say, we really didn't do justice to that this last year. Property is so involved. There's so much to it that when we had financial problems, we just dealt with them as best we could, but we just didn't do justice to it. So this year we want to do that differently. Sue Wagner is now an elder on our committee, and she would like her concentration to be on finances. So the main goal for that initially is going to be looking at, are we going to continue to stay a committee with a property and a finance focus, or will we be splitting this committee? And then from there, I think her focus will be on revenues, increasing revenues to the church, ways that we can perhaps bring in money using our facilities in a different way, thinking outside the box maybe. We also might be looking at a legacy giving education, maybe reaching out. That would allow us with legacy giving to look at giving into our future, try to maintain our church into the future. So that is it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Yeah, throw out those nets on the other side. Personnel, and it's Ruth Ann or Shauna, I think.
There we go. I'm going to start off.
Okay, thank you, Shauna.
Okay. My name is Shauna Ponte, and I'm a part of the Personnel Committee. And our Personnel Committee members of 2021 were myself as elder and Ruth Ann Mack an elder. And then we had Joyce Crowell and Chris Kirchman at large. And then we've added Janelle Lauby, and she is the elder for 2022. So that's exciting. And an overview of personnel is that we're responsible for administrative duties that support the operations of the church in the following areas: employment, and that's been a big one last year, the hiring of employees, the whole hiring process. And secondly is personnel and the annual performance evaluations of all staff, the human resource and operational issues, and the job descriptions. There's policy, procedural aspects, and then the fiscal responsibility, and that's approval of expenditures, related expenditures, and recommendations for the annual budget. So that's what I was going to share, and then Ruth Ann was going to discuss our goals. So Ruth Ann?
Well, our goals for the coming year, of course, the main thing will be to hire a new office administrator or secretary. So that will be job one. Also, we will continue our quarterly conversations with all of our staff. We have assigned ourselves to various staff members, and then we keep up with them at least 4 times a year to have a conversation, make sure everything is going well, if they have questions and so forth. We will continue our annual staff reviews. That happens once a year, usually in the fall. And just continue our updating of files and job descriptions, any of the pieces that go into our personnel work so that they stay current. We do have a file cabinet now in the office, church office, that we can go to, and if we need a resource or questions answered, we can go right to that file and have everything in order. So we will continue keeping that updated. Thank you.
Yeah.
But also just one other, if you're interested in joining our group, please call Ruth Ann or myself,
Thank you.
or Janelle or anyone. So anyway.
Thank you. Good.
Okay.
Been a very busy group this last year. As all of them have been. Faith formation. I think I saw Sarah on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, hi, my name is Sarah Gannon, and I am the Christian Ed Director, and I work with Faith Formation. Our committee, well, first of all, the mission of Faith Formation is to nurture faith by providing developmentally appropriate classes and small groups and experiences and resources for all people of all ages. And our group members are Sandy Griffin, Rebecca Paquette, Dan Munt, Ruth Ann Mackin just finished a term with us, and we also have youth elders Ryan Hull and Claire Gannon, and then myself. So a couple of goals for our coming year. Well, first of all, continuing faith formation programs during the pandemic has been challenging. Some of what has worked in the past doesn't seem to work quite as well, either because of Zoom or just for various reasons. So we are challenged to discern a new way of doing things. This past year, we created adult learning circles, and we've been using a book called We Make the Road by Walking. And the title, I think, aptly describes the spiritual journey, but it also describes our attempts in faith formation to find new ways to nurture faith in the unique challenges of our time. So our goals for 2022 include the following. We are looking at, instead of having a one-size-fits-all children's program, we're working on ways to develop ways of nurturing faith which tap into the different interests and consider the developmental needs of kids. And so a few things, we are working on forming an early childhood ministry that is mindful of the needs of children with special needs. We are working on organizing a tween book group for 4th through 7th graders, hopefully to be starting next week. And we're working on creating a ministry for kids and youth around athletic themes. One of the other major projects that we're working on this year is to prepare for faith formation operations during Pastor Kathy's sabbatical this summer. And we'll be planning worship services and trying to incorporate some unique worship experiences. And then we're also looking to build an outdoor labyrinth and refresh the volleyball pit and fire pit areas so that we can use those not only for our own congregation, but to invite friends to enjoy those opportunities with us. And just would like to invite everyone to participate in some of the things that we have going on, either as learners or as helpers. So a couple of things, all adults and any interested youth are invited to join one of the 3 adult learning circles. And they meet Monday morning, Tuesday morning is a women's group, and then Wednesday evening. And right now they are all on Zoom. Always invite interested people that would want to help with youth and children's ministry or our new athletic ministry. And we are also looking for interested people to help design and build the outdoor labyrinth and refresh the volleyball pit and fire pit this summer. Our current faith formation theme this past year has been creating space for God. And our next year's theme is a time to play. And during the summer, we're going to combine these themes to offer space. We're calling it Holy with a W, Holy with an H, play. And our team refers to the sabbatical this summer lovingly as while the cat with a K, cat is away, the church will play. So it's going to be hopefully a joyful time this summer. So if you are interested in taking part in anything that I have talked about or helping with anything, if it excites you, then we would like for you to join us. So I'll put my contact information, and Rebecca Paquette is our contact elder for faith formation. I'll put that in the chat. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Y'all are going to have way too much fun this summer. Deacons, I think Isla.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. The deacons for 2021, am I coming through okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. We're Carl Bacon, Chris Buckley, Mary Kell Cayley, myself, Sandy Landsberg, Dennis Meitner, and Becky Werzer. Rebecca Poquette was a session liaison for the deacons, and Pastor Kathy was also in there, which we were very grateful for. The deacons are the official spiritual, emotional, and sometimes physical caregivers of the congregation. And we also help and coordinate help for members of the church who are experiencing some distress in their lives. Follow through with members who have been absent from church life, keep members informed of the ongoing mission goals and objectives of the congregation, serve communion to homebound members, contact people who visit the church, and oversee a frozen meal program. But because of the COVID pandemic, the deacons were unable to coordinate some of their usual activities, both social and spiritual. We could not bring homebound communion to any of our members in nursing homes or assisted living facilities. We had wanted a church picnic during the summer, but that too had to be postponed. There was no Christmas caroling for the homebound in December, and all but one of our meetings this year were held virtually. We did stay connected to our neighborhood families by phone calls, cards and notes and emails throughout the year. We also planned the deacons also organized a cleanup night for the first in-person church service that was planned for July the 11th. We did meet virtually with session for their joint meeting. And we also organized an ice cream social after the outdoor service on Confirmation Sunday, and made telephone calls in August to remind everyone of the church fall schedule change beginning on September the 12th. In November, care packages were prepared for our college/technical college students, and there were 5 students this year: Elliot Gannon, Anna Johnson, Chris Johnson, Brendan Kewen, and Aaron Kirchman. And we also want to thank the Presbyterian women who once again made a donation to help with this expense. We do have a couple of goals for 2022, that we will be able to plan a congregational picnic or other event, of course, as soon as we can safely gather, and also provide visitation and communion to the homebound members and friends of First Presbyterian. Thank you.
Thank you, Isla. Good work. We have a communications team that meets usually monthly, and I believe Tim Neiman's going to give us a little information about that.
Yes. First of all, thanks much to Jean Mila for putting together our annual report, and thank you to the committee members who this past year included Allie Cohen, Sarah Gannon, Kristen Kirchman, Jean Mila, myself, Sarah Sather, and Pastor Kathy. We are looking, we have a very ambitious agenda for this coming year. And so we're looking for people who feel a calling to help us with the whole area of communications. Not so long ago, communications basically meant that we needed to make sure we put in newspaper ads, particularly at Christmas and Easter, made sure the street sign was up to date and had some nice pithy saying that passersby could see, and make sure that the church newsletter was mailed out promptly and in good order. Obviously, the last decade, and particularly the last couple of years, have set that entire model on its head. I don't think since Gutenberg rolled out his printing press back in 1448 have there been so many changes in the way we communicate with each other, both within the church and with the greater community outside. Right now, our committee is dealing with a number of all interconnected issues: internet access, our website, our social media presence, including Facebook, Instagram, and other services, the telephone system, the audio-visual system that's in the sanctuary and other audiovisual systems that groups within the church use for meetings, classes, youth groups, and what have you. And obviously, our online worship and meeting experiences, something that 3 years ago, probably none of us could have foreseen. Urgency has been added because Bill Korb, who has been leading our media team for a very long time, has found it necessary to step down from that role. He's also let us know that at some point he would like to retire a little bit to spend more time with his bees, I think. And he has been faithfully providing our internet service, our webmail, our phone systems, all of it. And it's all interconnected. And we need to make sure that what we have is up to date, that we all know, the people that are involved know how to use it, that we can deal with emergencies. And so this is something that the Communications Committee is going to be working on very urgently in the coming months. We invite you to join us. If you have ideas about communications, if you have concerns, if you have questions, if you have complaints, those are welcome too. Let us know. Communicate with us. If we can't know what you're thinking if you don't let us know. So we ask for your prayers and your support as we continue to work on this really part of our important part of our church life.
Thanks, Tim.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yep.
We are an Earth Care congregation, and most of you probably know that. Jim Dunning's going to give us a quick update on what Earth Care has been up to.
Thank you, Pastor Kathy. Am I on?
You are.
Okay, the Presbyterians for Earth Care Committee started meeting officially in January, and we have been meeting approximately every month since then. We have 9 members, with 2 of our newest members joining our church recently, but we can always use more. Our members are Tim Neiman, Pastor Kathy, Michaela Ewert, Liz Drew, Sue Wagner, Becky Werzer, Clara Gannon, and Mike Mills. Our church was originally certified as an Earth Care church in February of 2019, and then recertified in 2020 and 2021. And we're currently requesting recertification for 2022. Some of the activities and accomplishments that have been completed by the committee, the church staff, and congregation members in this past year include the heating and cooling system for the church that is being evaluated for efficiency and improved operation. This is being done in conjunction with the Buildings and Grounds Committee that you heard earlier. Xcel Energy and several contractors have been involved. Quotes are being received for possible improvements. A new hot water heater was purchased to improve efficiency. A recirculating pump and controls were installed. LED bulbs continue to be installed as an environmental improvement, and you heard about those in the main hallway and the education wing. We continued to implement environmental friendly practices by purchasing 100% renewable energy electricity, and several members have donated to the increased cost. The garden was expanded and 900 pounds of vegetables were grown. 800 pounds were given to food banks. It also brought 2 members to our committee and to the church. A donation of pollination-friendly grasses was received and incorporated into the lawn by the garden, and a speaker provided information on the value of this type of lawn. A speaker from the National Office of Presbyterians for Earth Care spoke to the adult class and to the congregation about the need to care for the church, for the earth. The church and the committee participated in the city cleanup day and worked in Putnam Park. They have also been involved with Jonah and their environmental and community events. Pastor Kathy has provided us with outdoor services, a blessing of the animal Sunday, and several sermons with an environmental perspective. The confirmation class included a caring for creation lesson. 2 youth members of the church reported to the congregation on an environmental conference that they attended in Illinois, and 2 committee members attended a virtual Presbyterians for Earth Care conference in August. The committee has also done the initial work on creating an environmental library. More will be done in the coming year. Our goals for the coming year include more education to the youth, congregation, and community related to our care of creation, complete a more thorough environmental evaluation of the physical equipment of the church, and to incorporate environmental goals in our homes and in our church. We look forward to another productive year of taking care of the creation that God has given us. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And John Wagner, I believe, is going to speak about both RAIN and the Afghan Resettlement Program. Is that right, John?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm going to talk to you about two initiatives in the church. One is a fairly recent initiative, that's the Afghan Resettlement Initiative, and the second is something that's been going on for, well, almost a year and a third now, which is called RAIN. RAIN stands for the Race Amity Interfaith Network. I'm going to start with the Afghan Resettlement. We learned about 2 weeks ago about a group of organizations, faith-based organizations and individuals within the Eau Claire area that have been working to resettle refugees from Afghan. These refugees would likely come from Fort McCoy, but they could come from other areas, other centers that have accepted the people from Afghan. And they put a lot of work into this effort. And the effort involves working with Lutheran Social Services in Milwaukee. Lutheran Social Services have a contract with the US government to resettle refugees in the Wisconsin area. And as a result of that contract, there's a bunch of details and a lot of paperwork, as you can imagine, that's required in order to keep the refugees safe and out of harm's way, and to ensure that when they are resettled, that they will have the means by which they can, within 6 months, become self-sufficient within the community that they're settled in. So there's a lot of different parts to this, and that self-sufficiency is obviously important for not only the refugees, but also for the community. So these organizations, which include the Quaker community, Emmanuel Lutheran, the Unitarian group, the Altoona Mosque, and First Congregational, and a bunch of other individuals have collected a lot of donations. They have sufficient donations, somewhere between $35,000 to $40,000 that have been committed to provide for housing initially. This is for a 6-month obligation that this group has to provide for housing, to provide for English language training, to provide for skills development and job hunting on the part of the refugees, and just general support. For example, the residence in which they would live would be rented, and that residence is going to require furniture. It's going to require some initial food supplies, so that when they arrive in the community, they will have food to eat and a place to stay, and some other miscellaneous activities. And so anyway, I talked to Sherry about this, and it was decided that the church, being a Matthew 25 church, would take part in this process. It doesn't look like there will be any financial requirements, because there's a sufficient amount of money that has been pledged, but there will be some miscellaneous requirements that may be needed. And it's coming to a head right now, because the government has decided that all refugees, Afghan refugees at Fort McCoy, must be out of Fort McCoy by February 19th. So the organization has a name in our area, and it's called the Welcoming New Neighbors Northwest. So if you see that in the papers, there have been a couple of reports published by the paper, and there've been some videos. I think Wisconsin Public Television had a couple of videos where they discussed the resettlement process. This group, Welcoming New Neighbors, has to be approved to resettle refugees. And that approval is probably going to, or lack of approval is probably going to come in the next week. And the big issue that all of the groups need to be concerned with, including our church, is if this group is approved, if we are all approved to receive these refugees, we may receive refugees within a few days of that approval, which means it could be as early as the middle to the end of next week. So stay tuned. I will get back to you about needs, short-term needs that will be required that we might be able to help with. And I'll just send out information as I learn more. So the second area is the RAIN, which is a group of both members of our congregation and members of outside congregations that are interested in two main areas. One is to inform all of us about the privileges that whites have. So we spent roughly the first year educating ourselves about the privileges that we have and the lack of privilege that non-whites have, and how that privilege has benefited us and not benefited non-white races. And then we decided we had to move into an area of action, again, being a Matthew 25 church, where Christ asks us to take action. Thinking about things is not good enough. You need to take action. And so the action we took was to rename ourselves the Race Amity Interfaith Network. And what we've been doing is reaching out to a bunch of different organizations, a number of different organizations that have similar interests and want to increase equity, diversity, and inclusion within our community. For example, today we had the benefit of talking with the city county EDI person, Dr. Janice Briggs, and she informed us very pleasantly that there are a lot more groups out there that are interested in working to move racial equity forward in our community than even we were aware of. So you can stay tuned for that too. I mean, I welcome all of you to take part in our weekly meetings. They occur at 9 o'clock on Sunday mornings. And if you're interested, send me your email and I'll include you on the mailing list and hope that you can attend. One of the actions that we're actually working toward is to coordinate with other groups to take part in a week of celebration of racial equity within Eau Claire. And that week is going to be in June. It turns out that the Wisconsin Race Amity Day is on one weekend in June, and the Juneteenth celebration is on the second weekend, the following weekend. And we're going to hope to put together a series of activities within that week to help educate the community about race amity and just increase knowledge and make this a better place for all of us to live. Diversity, in my way of thinking, is one of the most important aspects of our American society. We all come from very diverse backgrounds, and all of us have our relatives somewhere along the line lived in other countries. So it seems sensible that we take part in working together with people from all across the world and from people of all the different races as well. So again, let me know if you're interested in taking part in the Afghan resettlement, and let me know if you would be interested in taking part in our weekly discussions on Sunday morning for the Race Amity Interfaith Network. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Lots of information there. we are going to run a little longer than usual today. This is our annual congregational gathering as well as our worship service. I have two more people here to talk to you yet. Bill Henry's going to talk quick about the garden.
Thank you. The gardens at First Presbyterian Church, Eau Claire, were extremely successful this last year in fulfilling our mission of providing food to the veggies to the food insecure of our town, as well as creating floral beauty for all of us and our neighbors.
And the pollinators.
And the pollinators as well, of course. We raised and delivered 801 pounds of veggies to the Trinity Lutheran Pantry, while keeping about 100 pounds for the garden workers and various members of our church family. We raised $1,185 from 9 church members and the Eau Claire Garden Society to fund these efforts. And this was not budgeted from the church, and the church did not give us funds for it. This is all raised ad hoc, as it were. A total of 12 church members plus 6 confirmands took part in the tending of the garden throughout the growing season. The garden space also grew as we opened up 120 square feet for a potato bed and 100 square feet for flowers next to the narthex wall and the south entrance. We hope to increase these areas with our garden crew in the spring, and that's including maybe opening up a garden area along an extension of the wall in the education building. So we're increasing the arable space for both flowers and for veggies. We hope to increase these, and everyone is welcome in this mission through your donations and helping hands. It's become a meaningful part of FPC's ministry to the community of Eau Claire as a tangible testament to our dedication. And there's incredible satisfaction in just getting our hands dirty.
Thank you. And last, but definitely not least, Frankie.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Kathy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, the music ministry, our mission, as I see it, my philosophy is really to create a space through music, a vehicle through music, by which we, all of the people of God, can connect with God in a better way, with our hearts, with our mind, and our soul. I take my cue from the Psalms. The Psalms are a collection of songs, really, worship songs that are ancient, and you see a great plethora, a great variety of different types of prayer and song, themes of praise, themes of prayer, themes of petition, themes of pouring out hearts in times of trouble. So that's how I see music fitting in, is just to create that vehicle to allow people that connection with God, in a language that we just don't have in our everyday English or whatever other languages you may speak. St. Augustine said that he or she who sings prays twice. So music can be prayer, it can be praise, it can be so much. The Psalms say, let us extol the Lord with music and psalm and song. So all of you are really on the music ministry. If you come to worship, if you attend and either sing or play an instrument, or you listen, any of those, or you're a volunteer, a soloist, or a part of the choir. So everyone is really part of this ministry, directly or indirectly. So that is wonderful to have everybody, the whole church, involved. Current projects that I have been working on are, first of all, just getting this Zoom type of worship to be a little bit better quality compared to playing from home.
on my laptop. This is hopefully a step up. So moving the virtual worship musically into the sanctuary. I've allowed you to see the sanctuary so you feel like you are part of it, having the Steinway Grand, setting the high fidelity music setting, which was new to me on Zoom, and then also setting up a microphone for music on my laptop. So hopefully those have kind of elevated the quality. By the way, we did a sound test and the organ does not transmit through Zoom. So that is out for the moment. Another big project I've been working on really for months is to revamp the entire choir music files. There were stacks that have been there, I believe, for years and years, 5+ years, probably 10. I got so far along as I actually swept that room upstairs and got an enormous amount of dust collected. But what I'm doing is purging out old songs, bringing in new songs that we had donated by First Baptist when they closed, and then updating the typed index files. I retyped hundreds of songs. I retyped all of them, and then updating what we call the master folders, where we have one copy of every piece of music in folders for easy access and overview, but they were hopelessly out of date. And so I have been working on that for weeks and weeks, actually months. So I'm very pleased with the progress. One other small thing is I'm working with 2 organ tuning companies and to get quotes on getting the organ tuned. It has not been serviced or tuned for over 5 years. The norm is to have an organ serviced and tuned twice a year, just like most pianos. So I am working on that. As far as upcoming goals, the hope is to be back here on site, to restart the choir, and to also have regular contributions from soloists, vocalists, and instrumentalists as a part of regular worship. Also, Sarah Gannon, I'm working with her to help create the varied worship experiences over the summer when Pastor Kathy is on sabbatical. And so we've talked about integrating things like contemporary worship, Taizé style, classical, outdoor with guitars, and a number of creative worship styles. So that, I believe, is all I have to say. But thank you for the time, and thank you for all of the volunteers who have contributed in so many ways.
Thank you, Frankie. Thank you for sharing your music ministry and all that you're doing. Thank you to everyone who's participated in these little presentations today, to all of you who share in the ministry at First Presbyterian Church. And thanks be to God, whose net reaches far and wide. And as many of these people said, you are welcome to learn more and to participate in these various areas of ministry. Just speak up, talk to me, talk to one of them, and we'll help you to find a place